Hey everyone, my name is Ansh Mithani, and today I will be speaking on the global crisis of retained surgical sponges. Just some things about me. I'm from Alpharetta, Georgia. I'm a rising senior at Innovation Academy High School, and I'm particularly interested in the intersection of medicine and electrical engineering. Just some things I've been involved in. I'm an alum of the Governor's Honors Program here in Georgia. I'm the Biomedical Engineering Club founder and president at my school. I was a member of a biomedical debate team, which had hosts a state placement, and I'm a varsity swimmer. So, what is an RSI? An RSI stands for retained surgical item, which are objects that are accidentally left inside a patient after surgery. And as you can see from these real x-rays and images, RSIs can really range from anything, from scissors to even gauze, any materials used to conduct a surgery. They are dangerous, deeply preventable, and often go unnoticed until it's too late. But among all RSIs, surgical sponges are the most common and arguably the most dangerous. Soft, absorbent, and visually indistinguishable from tissue when soaked in blood, they're often overlooked despite manual counts. In fact, 68% of all retained surgical items are sponges, and that's nearly 7 out of 10 cases. A small item, a simple mistake, but the consequences can be devastating. So, what happens when a sponge is left behind? And the outcome can be categorized into three categories. And to dwell deeper on the first, the body retains the body treats retained sponges as what they are, foreign matter, and they trigger immune responses, leading to abscess formation and sometimes even full-blown systematic infection. And in many cases, this escalates into sepsis, which is fatal without immediate intervention. On the left, we see the immune response, white blood cells swarming to attack bacteria, creating pus and pressure. And on the right, a clinical example of an abscess. This isn't rare, it's one of the most common early outcomes of an RSI. And when left untreated, bacteria can spread from the infected sponge to the bloodstream, weakening blood vessels, compromising organs, and ultimately leading to death. The danger of indwelling sponges is not just localized, it's actually systemic. Sponges can actually entangle into the intestines, form masses, and physically block digestion. And once indwelling, they mimic tumors, causing occlusions throughout the body, which is shown in the X-ray scan. To the right, you can see how chronic inflammation from a sponge can form fistulas, which are abnormal openings between organs like the rectum and the bladder. And this causes extreme pain, infections, and often lifelong complications. But RSIs aren't just about discomfort. They directly raise morbidity and mortality rates for absolutely no reason at all. The World Health Organization even recognizes them as a never event, meaning that they should never happen, yet they continue to occur. And globally, there was an analysis stating that 4.5% mortality was directly linked to retained items, 16.3 resulted in permanent physical injury, 78.1% had temporary physical harm, experienced temporary physical harm, and 1.1% experienced psychological effects. And these are only reported percentages. Most hospitals, when this occurs, do not report this as it is seen as malpractice and human error. 313 million surgeries take place every year around the world. And to put that into perspective, that's nearly the population of the United States undergoing surgery every single year. And RSI rates range from 1 in 5,500 to 1 in 18,760 procedures. And even in the best case estimate, that's thousands of cases annually, and each one can be entirely preventable. So in order to aid the process of manual counting and not necessarily replace it, I created a simple counter which takes advantage of the unique identification capabilities of RFID technology. So with the desire to aid in the sponge counting instead of actually replacing that process, since it is mandated that surgical assistants or surgical technicians count by hand, I decided that each sponge needed some sort of unique identification. So even if they appear the same physically, in terms of size, feel, or even color, technology can be used to differentiate each one. And I settled on RFID tech, and I wove small, cost-effective tags into each sponge. I even used a Raspberry Pi computer to supply power and logic to the circuit, and this program was coded entirely using Python, and an LCD screen was used to display count. Here's a quick demonstration of that prototype. So, one sponge is used or taken out in this case, and it is scanned against the RFID scanner, which you can even scan two sponges at once. And you can see on the LCD screen, it is counting each sponge based off how many you inputted were checked into the OR. So in this case, I said four were checked into the OR. And once all four sponges have been scanned, the counter is fulfilled and asks, all checked, stop. So we've now seen that retained surgical items, especially sponges, are not rare, they're not harmless, and they're definitely not excusable. And even though some practices are mandated, there's no rules against aiding the process. So some key takeaways are that RSIs are a global ongoing threat to patient safety, whether it's reported or not. And 68% of these are surgical sponges, which are often extremely difficult to detect visually. And they cause everything from sepsis to permanent physical harm. But with a simple aid to manual counting, sponges are able to be easily identified. So, for some final words, from robotic assistance to AI enhanced imaging, technology in the OR has repeatedly proven its value. And some studies even show up to 52% reductions in complications, better instrument tracking, and improved surgical accuracy with the involvement of technology inside of the OR. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. And once again, my contact information is here. My name is Ansh Mithani. My email is anshmithani@gmail.com, and the link to my LinkedIn is here.